The old Hawes Inn at Queensferry makes a call upon my fancy. There it stands, beside the pier, in front, the ferry bubbling with the tide, behind the old house with its trees. Within those walls, behind those shutters, some business smoulders, waiting for its hour. The man of the hour had not yet come, but someday, I think, a boat shall put off from the Queensferry fraught with a dear cargo. And so begins my story Kidnapped, as young David Balfour sets out for the House of Shaws near Cramond to seek his inheritance.
Night had quite come when we came upon the House of Shaws. We made our last whispered consultations, and then rang Keeler, the lawyer, Torrance, his clerk, and I, David, crouched by the side of the house, while Alan, under the guise of a Mr. Thompson, strode to the door and began to knock. He knocked and knocked until we heard the sound of a window thrust up, and I knew that my uncle had come to his observatory.
What's this? This is the kind of time of night for decent folk, and I hae nae trockings with night hawks. I have a blunderbuss. What brings you here?
Is that yourself, Mr. Balfour?
What brings you here?
David!
What was that?
Shall I give you the rest of the name then?
I'm thinking I maybe better let you in.
Aye, I dare say that. The point is, would I go? Now, I'll tell you what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it is here upon this doorstep. We must confer upon this matter. It shall be here or nowhere at all, whatever.
What must be, must.
And he shut the window. But it took him a long, long time to come down the stairs, to undo the locks and fastenings, till suddenly my Uncle Ebenezer gingerly stepped out with the blunderbuss in his hand.
You mind? I have my blunderbuss, and if you take a step nearer, you're as good as dead.
A very civil speech, to be sure.
No, but this is no very chancy kind of a proceeding, and I'm bound to be prepared. And now that we understand each other, you can name your business.
Why, you that are a man of so much understanding will have perceived that I'm a Highland gentleman. The country of my friends is no very far from the Isle of Mull. There was a ship lost in those parts. Friends of my family seeking wreckwood along the sands came upon a lad that was half drowned. Well, they brought him to and clapped him in an old ruined castle where, from that day to this, been a great expense to my family. My family and friends, they're a wee bit wild-like, not so particular about the law. And knowing the lad owned some decent folk, and was your born nephew, Mr. Balfour, they asked me to give you a bit call and confer upon this matter. I must tell you from the off-go, if we cannot agree upon some terms, you're little likely to set eyes upon him again.
No very caring. He wasn't a good lad at the best of it, and I've no call to interfere.
I see what you would be getting at, pretending you don't care to make the ransom smaller.
It's the mere truth, and I take no manner of interest in the lad, and I'll pay no ransom, so you can make a kirk or a mill of him for what I care.
Hoots, man, you cannot desert your brother's son for the fierce shame of it. And if you did, and it came to be kent, you wouldn't be very popular in your countryside.
Very popular the way it is. And I didn't see who it would come to be kent. No by me, anyway, nor yet by you or your friend. So that's idle talk, my bucky.
Well, it'll have to be David that tells it.
How that?
Well, my friends will keep the lad if there's the likelihood of siller. If there's nane, they'll let him gang where he please, be damned to him.
Well, I wouldn't have cared about that either. I wouldn't have been muckle made up with that.
Either you liked David and would pay to get him back. Or else you had very good reason for not wanting him back and would pay for us to keep him. Ha! It seems it's not the first. Why then it's the second. Blithe am I to ken it. A pretty penny in my pocket and the pocket of my friends. Ah, come, sir. What will you pay? Either give me an answer in civility, and that out of hand, or by the top of Glencoe, I will ram 3 feet of iron through your vitals, eh?
Give me a minute, man.
Hey, you old...
I'm nae dancing, master. I'm trying to be as civil as it's morally possible. Shh. Vital, says you. Ah, yeah, that's wild dog. That's fair disreputable. Where would you be, eh? My vitals. Where would you be with my blunderbuss?
Powder in your old hands is but as the snail to the swallow against my bright steel. By the time your juttering fingers could find the trigger, the hilt will dull in your breastbone.
What's denying it? Put it as you please. Here, your own way. I'll do nothing to wrong you. Just tell me what it is that you're wanting.
In 2 words, do you want the lad killed or kept?
Oh, serves me, that's no kind of talk.
Killed or kept?
Hey, keep it, well, hey, no bloodshed if you please.
Well, that'll be the dearer.
The dearer? Would you file your hands with crime?
Woodsman, they're both crimes. The killing's surer, quicker and easier. Keeping the lad will be a fascist job, a fascist kittle business.
I would have him keep it though. I never had nothing to do with anything morally wrong, and I'm not going to begin to pleasure a wild dealing man. If I have to pay for it, I'll just have to pay for it.
Now, about the price. It's not very easy for me to set a name upon it. I'd have to ken, for instance, what you gave whole season at the first off go.
Whole season? What's that?
For kidnapping David.
He never was kidnapped. He laid in his throat, that told you that kidnapped. He never was.
What did you pay him?
The horses and tell you?
Why, you donnert old runt. How else would I ken?
Well, I didn't care what you say. He'll eat. And, the honest God's truth is this, I just gave him £20. But I'll be perfectly honest with you, for by that he was to have the selling of the lad in Carolina. Well, it would be muckle mair, but no from my pocket, you see.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. That will do excellently well, said the lawyer Rankeeler. And then, stepping forward, mighty civilly, good evening, Mr. Balfour. And, good evening, Uncle Ebenezer, said I. And, Bronicht, Mr. Balfour, added Torrance. Neither a word said my uncle, neither black nor white, but just stood where he was, stared upon us, like a man turned to stone.